Super Mario 64 is one of my favorite games of all time, and one of the reasons for that is because of the amazing selection of enemies that it had in it, especially some of the new ones. In this video, I'll be taking a look at my top 5 favorite enemies that were introduced in Super Mario 64. No bosses will be included in this list out of fairness, and I also plan on talking about them specifically in a future video. And before we begin, let me cover some enemies that almost made the cut. Some honorable mentions include the Moneybags, Snowmen, and the Mad Piano. I just couldn't talk about it in this video, they're too scary. With that being said, let's get into the list. For number 5, I chose the Chuckyas. Only found in Super Mario 64 and the DS version, and at times they can be a very difficult opponent to face in the games. The main concept is to grab Mario and throw him off of an elevated surface, which can be devastating to the player as you work so hard to get to the top of a mountain only to get thrown off and have to restart. This enemy concept is very interesting to me, and if included in more titles, I think it could be something that becomes a staple villain to see. Bob-ombs are all over the Mario games, nowadays appearing in almost every title that is released, and I think that this new take on an existing idea is a really great enemy. It's just a shame that we don't get to see it too often. The Chuckyas were a very unique idea introduced in Mario 64, which is why they're number 5 on this list. Coming in at number 4 are the Amps. These guys are small electric balls which are obstacles that stun Mario when he makes contact with them. Sometimes they remain in one place in the game, but more often they are seen rotating around platforms. They're a very memorable enemy from the game, having appearances in many different worlds, as well as the final level, Bowser in the Sky. They have a large lasting impact on the Mario series beyond 64, as they appear in many different 2D and 3D platformers, as well as many spin-off titles. In every appearance, they serve the same basic purpose as they were originally made for: electrical obstructions which can immobilize Mario for a short time. They're not the most complicated enemy, however they definitely have a large lasting impact on the series and are challenging at certain points in the game. The Amps were certainly a great addition to Mario 64 and beyond. Coming in at number 3 is the Bully. One of the most memorable enemies from Super Mario 64 is the Bully. It's a pretty simple concept of a villain, however it can be difficult to fight given the circumstances. In Mario 64, they only appear in Lethal Lava Land and either appear in groups, which can be an interesting challenge, or you will have to fight a big version of the Bully. The main concept of them is that they ram into you and attempt to slam you into the lava, which could allow you to take a lot of damage. They have a decent lasting impact on the Mario series, as well as they do appear in a couple more games such as Super Mario 3D World, where they have a prominent role in certain levels and have a boss based around them. They appear in spin-off games as well, like Mario and Luigi Paper Jam as enemies, and in all games they serve the same purpose: being an enemy that rams into you. While I do feel that they're slightly underused, they have appeared in a few games and were definitely a great creation for Mario 64. For number 2, I chose the Nagi. This is the classic eel enemy of the Mario games, the most common one, first seen on the sunken ship in Jolly Roger Bay in Mario 64. Yeah, you remember this one. They do have a pretty big lasting impact on the Mario series as well, going on to appear in New Super Mario Bros. DS, being a very threatening enemy at times in certain levels, where a giant Nagi sometimes appears and swims across the entire screen, destroying anything in its path. They also go on to appear in many Mario Kart games, most recently being a platform that you could race along in the Dolphin Shoals track of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which I'm sure a lot of you know about because you probably picked it up. They certainly serve a great purpose in Mario 64, being the monster that protects the star, and is one of the most feared enemies from the game for that reason. It has a very intimidating design and size, which just makes it even cooler in my opinion. I had to put them on this list because of how notable they are to the Mario series. And for the number 1 spot, I chose the Whomp. One of my favorite enemies in the Mario games is the Whomp, a slab of cement and rock which made its first appearance in Mario 64 in Whomp's Fortress as a common enemy in that stage, along with the Thwomps, which appeared before Mario 64. When Mario walks in front of them, they will fall down and attempt to crush you, and sometimes this will succeed and lead to your death. However, sometimes they will end up being vulnerable and allowing you to ground pound on their backs to defeat them. In 64, their leader is also introduced, known as the Whomp King, which is basically a bigger Whomp with a crown, but still an interesting character nonetheless. They go on to appear in many other Mario titles after that, primarily the 3D ones, although they do occasionally appear in 2D titles such as New Super Mario Bros. DS for example. They appear in many spin-off games too, mainly Mario Party games where they serve primarily as boss characters or sometimes as an obstacle in a minigame. I just love the concept of the Whomp, and in my opinion it's the best enemy created for Super Mario 64. For more top 5 and top 10 videos every Saturday on the channel, be sure to click the subscribe button on the screen right now. I also left 2 others that I think you'll like on the screen alongside it. There's the top 10 underused Mario enemies, and there's also the top 5 enemies from Super Mario Bros. 3. That one is one that's very similar to this video, so if you like me talking about enemies from a specific game, check out that one. Thanks for tuning in today, guys. Peace out.